Okay, so you guys are just gonna have to bear with me on this one. This is unscripted, so we're just gonna have to go through this as my brain pulls ideas from the ether into this video. I played competitive TF2 for like a long ass time, and one of the biggest things that always intrigued me is the callouts for each map, you know, as a way to communicate where on the map people are to your team without just sort of saying general direction over here. And one of the biggest things that always intrigued me is like how these callouts were made and why certain maps follow the rule set and certain maps don't follow the rule set. We're just gonna work through them, and so like the first thing I want to talk about is, so shutters are those metal doors you'll find on a lot of maps where they open and close based on the character's proximity towards them. Most commonly you'll find like Demo Man using his stickies to use as a trap, and you might see certain maps use them just to create sort of fake choke points or block sniper sightlines so that the class isn't just ridiculously overpowered. Now on most maps, the shutter is literally just called shutter. Anywhere you'll find it, it'll probably be shutter. Like this point on Badlands, you'll find it on this part of Snakewater, you'll find it on this part of Metalworks, for example. But what if you want to call out this specific area in Process? Is that called shutter? Go fuck yourself. No, it's not called shutter. It's called 1. Why is it called 1? We'll turn map decals on and you'll see a big ass 1 above the door. So no, it's not called shutter. It's called 1. Very adjacent to the number 2. We call this place 2. And that's from both sides, even though you can't see the big 2 from the other side of the map. Or what about this shutter on Gully Wash? Well, how about you go fuck yourself twice, because it's not called shutter, it's called baby door. Why is it called baby door? Because around it is big door, baby door. You see the size difference, we're working, we're fine. But this one's called shutter. In the other part of the map, that's fine to call shutter, this is baby door. Boy, do I love granary, and I really like wrapping around the sort of left side of the map to get into the shutter. Wait, did I call it shutter? My bad, it's called lunchbox. This area is called lunchbox. I don't know if there's a lunchbox in this area, and maybe the model might have been gone at some point. Why is it called lunchbox? Yeah, that's right, you just read a title card that said banana in it. Yeah, banana is a call out on a couple maps. Gully Wash, this area here, this little sort of curving pattern, sure, it's called banana. Some people call it elbow. Doesn't matter, they're both curved, we get the point. I thought this was the only time we used the word banana to call a map, but no, Metalworks has banana as well. What? Tell me a banana that is shaped like this corridor. Okay, well this part of Process must be called banana too, right? No, don't forget earlier in the video, remember this was called 2, and this 3, and this 4, and this 5. You have to remember numbers, my guy, you have to remember numbers. Just say right or left. Save your team some mental effort, please. There's also just a like subcategory of callouts that I like to call random words that like kind of make sense. So like, let's stay on Process for example. This area up here is often called heaven or nest, depending on where you're standing. It's above, it's raised, sure, I'm happy with that, okay? This part of Sawmill is just called saw, because, well, there's a saw inside, okay? I'm okay with that. We are calm, relaxed. This part on Sunshine is called Cafe, because look, there's a cafe inside. That's okay, that's fair enough. That's kind of cool. This part on Last is called Shit Dick. That's not a joke. Comp.tf doesn't call it shit dick anymore, it calls it like pipe or top or something. I know, ask any competitive TF2 player that was around when Sunshine was like popping off in the fucking rotations, it's called shit dick. The middle point on Gully Wash is called nipple. That's because it looks like a boob. And this house on Badlands is called shit house, for some reason. I hope you're all enjoying the video, so oh, what's that? The alarm's going off, it's time for cool references in the map callouts. I really should have scripted this part because I really didn't consider what the visual is going to be here yet. Did someone call the police? Okay, so this is the actual part of the video that I actually wanted to talk about, the sort of like cool things you might find out. So for a long ass time, this part of Process is called sewers, which doesn't make much sense because it's, you know, not a sewer. But in like a super old version of the map, like some of the really early like first drafts of this map, this actually was a sewer. There is actually a sewer here. So then it's just referencing the old versions of the map, which I actually do find kind of cool. You find a similar cool reference on Product, which is this little area here called China, originally made because there's some sort of plates, pots and such in here, which, fine China, we get there. But what's fun about this callout is very close to it. If you move to the left, if you're looking at it from this angle anyway, you'll find the callout called Japan. And that's because geographically, Japan would be to the right of China. That's a reference to maps, I think. Yeah, whatever, cool. This area of Gully Wash is called River, which maybe you could get to because you are flowing downwards to get to the point, but why it's actually called River is because at the bottom of this, you get this area called Water because there's a bunch of water in the bottom. So that's, again, a really cool way of making the map callout actually make sense. They called it Shit Dick.